Eventually it'll be great.
All right. Time, we call to order at 6 o'clock. And we do have a quorum. And Rusty, would you say our prayer?
Father, we come to thee tonight, we just ask for your guidance, your love. Help us to make the right decisions for this district. Help us to be the willing board members that want to do what's right and help our kids. Pray that you'd be with all of them as they travel to the different sport events. Be with them in school, be with our staff and administration as well. These things we ask in Jesus' name.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the Texas flag, I
Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, under new business, let's, does anybody have any questions about the consent agenda? The deeds or anything that we missed on the minutes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda, items 1 and 2.
Have a motion by Doug, second.
Second.
Second by Stacy. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right. Under the regular agenda, discuss possible action to adopt a budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Mr. Iron. So,
That is,
yes, sir.
we did have a few changes from when we presented the proposed budget to you at the beginning of the month. We adjusted our ADA projections from 615 to 630 because we have quite a few more students right now. We also, if you'll remember, we approved $110,000 for band instruments earlier in the year. Well, about half of them haven't come in, so I added $57,000 to next year's budget to cover those instruments that are ordered but haven't come in yet. So we won't spend it this year, but we'll spend it out of next year's budget. I added $250,000 for the roof repairs deductible and $280,000 for ASF revenue that I just left off last time. There was a couple of staff members that we hired. So the total deficit ends up being $1,070,120. I did list all the one-time expenditures that we had in there: the track repairs, roof repairs, bus, van, band instruments, updating to Microsoft Office, and some. I did put $30,000 in there for local security updates. We don't specifically have a plan for that $30,000, but I figure with all the security initiatives, we would probably need it. Is there any questions on the proposed budget?
I have a question on I don't know if we need to just like table this until we get on to some of the other things that are farther down, because we're going to talk about the track repairs, and so I'm confused on the number here versus the number on the others.
And I will talk about it. Their quote is confusing. They have an option A that's like $240,000. Then at the very bottom of the thing, there's a owner exclusion of $250-some-thousand or something. I can't remember the exact amount, but it equals that amount that I have here. And that's for, so they didn't put on the actual quote to us, they didn't put, hey, we're going to have to replace the asphalt, but they've said, hey, we're going to have to replace the asphalt. So we put it as a contingency on that bid, not just actually part of the bid, because if they scrape off the surface of the track and by some miracle they're just just those cracks was the only thing that was broken, then they wouldn't have to replace the entire asphalt. There's virtually no chance that that's gonna happen. So it's gonna be it's almost assured it's gonna be the full amount. So that's why I budgeted for the full amount. Now, if we don't end up spending the full amount, that'd be great.
So my other question is, because we're gonna talk about, fixing the football field, one way or the other, it has to be fixed. So if we fix the track and then we decide to fix the football field, what's that gonna do to the track?
It shouldn't have any effect on the repairing of the track.
It won't mess the track up.
No.
I thought part of that 1.2 was fixing the drainage and redoing the dirt and.
Well, no, the 1.2 is just doing the football field. The current quote that we have on that, like when we originally got a quote several years ago when we tried to do, or when we talked about turf the very first time back in 2014, they were saying they were gonna have to regrade everything and completely rip out the track. The current company is not saying any of that. They're like, no, we'll just go within the confines of the track.
I mean, I thought that was one of the main reasons that the track keeps messing up is because of the drainage and all that
Right,
stuff.
and they will if they do the turf, they'll put a pipe around the edge of the track, but it won't be under the track. It'll be on the edge of the track that'll pull the water in.
So we're still gonna leave it like wonky, I don't know. I just don't see how you can go in and turf it or sod it or fix it and not mess up the track.
They can bore that. So what they'll do is they'll go in with a bore machine and they'll cut a hole and they'll stuff a piece of pipe in it. And that'll be your drain.
I think what she's saying is talking about them running over it continuously with.
Yeah.
in and out.
I have no idea how they do that.
Well, and my question to the board then is, this is my feeling, well, y'all know my feelings, but no matter what we decide to do with the football field, why, instead of our budget being at a -$1 million, why don't we try and get the track with, do it all together instead of paying for the track and then maybe tearing it up and then putting us $500,000 over. I mean, we're spending money, that we may mess up and have to re-spend it.
The reason we put the track in the budget was timing. If we wait to do it in the bond, it'll be a full another year before we get the track repaired. And we believed it was a dangerous enough thing for people, because you can trip and fall on it, that we thought it was something that we should do as quickly as possible. That was the whole reason why the track is in there now. That's why we also have the reimbursing resolution, so that actually it would be paid for out of the bond if the bond passes. And if the bond doesn't pass, we're gonna have to fix the track. If we want to have track, we have to fix the track.
I think they have ways of working their equipment over that track.
They're professionals at it. They do it all the time. I have no idea how they do it.
But
We're
the
not
tires
talking that
now-
large of equipment anyway, so.
Even a maintainer over it, they'll put tires and boards over the base of it and run it over.
Steel plates.
Or steel plates.
Yeah, but I thought part of the 1.2 was actually fixing the drainage and fixing the field where it wasn't so sloping and offset and all that, so.
They're not gonna change the slope at all. They will put a pipe around the perimeter, like I said, that pulls the water. That fixes the drainage.
So they're not gonna bring any dirt in.
I'm not gonna say that. I don't know the exact plans.
Surely they're gonna, they're absolutely terrible.
I know, that's,
Well,
But if
I
you-
will tell you, it's gonna end up being level with the track. So
Right.
there's not gonna be a drop down.
That answers it. So it's
It's,
gonna drain this way.
They will pull the dirt probably from that end and push it down this way. I would think they'd they'd have to make it flat.
They need dirt down there
I don't, and the whole thought in my brain just says, why, if we're gonna fix it, why not fix it all together instead of
timing
spending the
is,
money and then doing it?
timing is the entire answer, is we wanted to get the track done. Because we'll have to wait. We wouldn't have an election until May. We wouldn't sell the bonds for, I don't know, a few months after that. So we would put the track repairs off a full another year if we waited to do it only as part of the bond.
The track is a
And
safety
maybe
issue.
save it.
There's pretty good, there's several cracks in it that are,
There's some big
The
ones.
ones that go with the lanes aren't as concerning to me. the ones that go opposite the lanes are the ones that, and
That's all I'm saying, it needs to be taken care of, because we won't, essentially, I don't know that we could have traffic here, right? Would we be putting kids at risk running track meets on that track?
But where it's cracked and split now, once you get ice and snow in it,
It's gonna get worse.
it's gonna make it worse. It's
Well-
gonna push it.
And it's not a lot, I mean, we're not talking like there's a
Right,
3 inch,
right.
it's just barely off, but me, being the athletic person that I am, walking can stub my toe on it, so.
Well,
So do they have, let me ask you this, do they have a filler?
Well, that's what the one company wanted to do for the 180,000, but then they only guarantee it for 3 years.
Yeah.
yeah,
And so,
Well, I thought they just might be able to fill a few cracks, and I would figure it would be 180,000.
yeah, so it was
Yeah.
that was the one company's, that's basically what they were gonna do. They were gonna put a piece of fabric on each side of the crack as a Band-Aid to hold it together, and then just fill the void, put a piece of fabric, then put the surface on top of it, and in theory, that would hold it together to keep it from spreading. And I just have zero faith.
I
in
don't,
it.
as far as her figures goes, then tearing it up, I don't think they replace every track when they put a turf field in.
Well, and even if they did, they'd be the same people that we're gonna hire to do the track repairs.
Well, all I'm saying is, they've got to have a way of doing it without tearing the track.
I would agree, but I just don't know that, but.
Yeah. It just seems like to me if we're gonna fix it all, we should fix it together, but that's.
I mean, can we ask them?
Well, I mean, I watch them,
If they're not gonna, I mean, if they say, hey, if we tear it up, we'll fix it on our dime, then that's.
they got it.
Well, I think that would be part of it.
I
We
mean, might as
wouldn't,
well get yourself some little insurance there of that, I mean, that way.
we wouldn't even consider, I mean, we
I
wouldn't.
know. But I mean, they're gonna bring dirt in, so they're gonna have to bring trucks in to get the dirt in there, so
Yeah.
they're gonna drive over it. It's happening.
Yeah.
However they get over it, whether they put plates down or whatever.
Last time, how much was the track?
I don't know the exact.
130,000?
I think it was more than that. I think it was 180.
180?
I
It
think
was
so.
under 2.
No, it was,
And
no,
that
it was 300,000 is what it was, because they had to go back in and rip the base out, redo the base, and then they put it back in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The time before that, when they just fixed it, it was only, that's when it was about 80.
Yes,
They just recapped it.
but material costs have skyrocketed since then. I mean, those figures are built.
You couldn't redo it for 300 now.
No, because just like that, seems like everything else, all the material comes from, who's in the war?
Ukraine.
Ukraine. All the material for trucks comes from Ukraine.
Man, they make a lot of stuff, don't they?
Apparently.
It's incredible.
Apparently.
But I do think they could go across the track and never put a dent in it. Because I've taken some big dozers across.
And you don't think we should, for $500,000, put it included the law? You think we should just pay for
Well, it will be.
Reimbursement really is on it. If, yeah, it's gotta be fixed, even if the bond don't pass, it'll fix it.
it? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, if we want to.
I mean, we're gonna have to do it anyways. Right.
Yeah, well, and we're gonna do something about the football field too. I would really go on. That's me.
Well, we're just doing it just like we did the roof. I mean, it's basically the same thing, is it not? We're just doing it in advance and trying to be reimbursed for it in the bond.
So, and my other question was, I found, so our actual budget for last year is pretty much 8.5, right? I think it was. And then, are the amendments that we're doing this time, are they for last year or this year?
They are for the year that we're just finishing.
Okay, so I just kind of wondering where we're gonna be at the very end.
I don't have that for you yet, because we don't have we don't have the information from TEA on how much they've overpaid us or underpaid us. So I won't get that until mid-September, so I won't know the very end yet.
But wasn't it last year, wasn't it, I mean, we were pretty close to balance, weren't we? For 200, I think it was 200 when we started at this time last year.
Last year, we had all that expenditures for the repairs we did. Wasn't it last year that all the expenditures for the repairs to the elementary, or was that the year before? Whichever year we did the elementary repairs, we were way under.
Yeah.
And then the other year of those two, we were actually quite a bit. I mean, we were way over expended the year we did all those repairs. Then the next year, we put like 400,000 back in.
Yeah. So I think when we started last year in August, our budget was pretty close to.
Oh, yes.
It was a balanced budget. 'Cause
Correct.
I remember being excited.
Yes,
I
it was a
remember being
balanced
excited about
budget.
this
We were-
budget day.
250, is that right?
It was 200,
200,
200
yeah.
deficit, but that was, I mean, it was close to balance.
But we were thinking
It
we
was
were
really
gonna
good.
be 9, right?
Right, yeah. So
850 to 9.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
So on this one, and I think this is where you're going, but once you pull out all the one-time expenditures, we are actually at a deficit budget.
And that's, I mean, and that's
Yeah.
why it really looks good except for the one time, yeah.
Well, I mean, even when you pull those out, we're still, it's like 170,000 in the hole, and this is the first time in a while since House Bill 3 passed that we're proposing a budget to you that actually, when you pull the one-time expenditures out, we still are in a deficit budget. And we are. We're in a deficit budget. I mean, it's not as bad as it could have been, but it's, I mean, because those 15 kids really helped. Otherwise, it would be another 150,000 deficit budget. But we're in a deficit budget, and Mr. Garrison and I have talked about it. We're going to have to look at and figure out what we're going to do, because we can't, the one-time expenditures are something that, y'all approve or you don't approve, however that goes. But when you pull all those out and you still have a deficit budget, we can't do that forever. So we will definitely have to think about it when we hire people. We have to think about it when we decide do we need an expenditure. So, I mean, yeah, it is, and you can ask Mr. Garrison, I've been preaching this ever since I did the very first draft of this going, okay, we're out of money, so.
You know that's where I'm going with it, because
Yeah.
it makes me extremely, extremely nervous. That's kind of why I want to kind of push that track to if we get a bond. But that's me.
But it really won't affect that number, because we'll still, I'm pulling that number out as a one-time expenditure. But we're still at a deficit budget, I mean, if you ignore that.
Yeah, and you still have, you have to still figure out.
Yeah.
So we're still at approximately a 450 to 500 deficit with the track out.
If you pull the track, like I said, if you pull all the one-time expenditures out, let me go back to my report.
Yeah, it's about it. The one-time expenditures are 912, and then the deficit's $1,070,000, so.
About 1.5, it's about 150,000.
Yeah.
That we're
Oh,
deficit.
that's not.
And that's all salaries and stuff. So, I mean, we do have, and this is another thing that I've harped on for a little bit, we have the highest level of staffing we've had since I've been here. But a lot of those have been required, like the House Bill, whatever, that makes it 45 that makes us have a tutor on every campus. I mean, there's been some requirements that we've had to add staff, even though until this year, our population really wasn't growing. So it's a challenge that we'll have to face and going forward. We don't want to be like some of our neighboring districts, not specifically the one that I mention often, but there's some others that they just put their heads in the sand and didn't plan for it. And so,
Yeah.
And that's why, we really do need to look at the one-time, even though something may really, really need to be replaced, we really got to think about where it's putting us. Because
I will say, that, Richard, yourself, and everybody else, and board members past, you guys that have been here a long time, done a great job as far as budgets and things like that, but, I want to run a balanced budget as much as anybody else. I don't want to be irresponsible either. But when it rains, it pours, and we've been hammered, and we've been really fortunate with getting money back on the elementary and things like that. To me, sometimes the longer, if we put off an issue, the worse it gets, the more expensive it gets, or whatever. And not that, like I said, not that I want to go on the hole that hard, but I think if we're gonna have something, we gotta do something to take care of it. I don't think we're going above and beyond, add another lane or something crazy like that. I think cost is crazy, but it is what it is, and that's what you get. But I think if we fix it right this time, maybe, not maybe, surely we're not gonna be back in the same boat. If we get it
What do they give the lifespan of a track, 10 years, right?
8 to 10 years, yeah.
Just at the surface.
Just on the surface, yeah.
Well, for the surface, and then they come back in and they'll top it, and then you can't help
Set.
the settling or the shifting of underneath. But they're supposed to repack it when they pull your top.
Well, if you don't have a large amount of settling or shifting, you can just put concrete patches in, and that it's not an issue. I mean, the problem with our track is just the sheer amount that has settled and stuff. Like I said, you're always gonna have a little bit, and then what they do is they'll just cut out, a 2-foot wide span and replace that with concrete to fix that.
Like excessive settling, we've had because of one of the lake. Maybe at some point it'll quit settling. Like dry lake to the south of us. I'm sure that has a lot to play in how much it's settled over the years. But at some point it's gonna quit settling. This much. Maybe not completely, but as much.
Like I said, 2 different engineers told me that one of the major contributing factors is the amount of water we're putting through it. So, because that water has to go somewhere
With the grass.
with the grass. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? You good, Stacy?
Not really, but not much I can do about it.
No. Okay. Got anything else, Mr. Hunt?
Nope.
Okay. So, at this time, do we have a motion to approve the budget for 23-24?
I move to approve the budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year as presented.
Have a motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second by Mike. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right. Let's discuss a possible action to set the 23-24 tax rate.
We always have to set the tax rate after the budget, which seems weird to me that you set something to say how much you're gonna bring in. Well, you have to set first how much you're gonna spend, and then you say how much you're gonna bring in, but that's the way the state has it. The numbers given to us, the M&O number comes from the state. They passed that major compression, so about half of it went into the raising the exemption, the homestead exemption. The other half went into tax rate compression. So you'll see our M&O rate, and it is way too small for me to see on my screen. The M&O rate last year was 0.9551, and this year with compression the state did, it will drop to 0.7684. And then the county, we had 0.27 last year as our INS rates. They calculated that we need 0.281936 with the, because of the homestead exemptions, we need a little more to make our payment. So that is the rates that we are recommending that we do for a total of 1.050336, which is still a substantial drop from the total of last year at 1.2251.
Question? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the tax rate?
I move to approve the ordinance to set the 2023-2024 tax rate at $1.06 $0.050336.
Have a motion by Rusty, do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Chad, excuse me, Doug. All in favor? All in favor, motion carries. All right, discuss possible action on the budget amendment.
These are just a couple budget amendments. In the payroll process, we do August accruals, which that's where we go and people that work for the next year, but they're in this year, we have to accrue their money, and so it put us over on a couple of, in function 31 and function 33. It also put us a little bit over in child nutrition 240. So these are just budget amendments to clean those values up.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment?
I move to approve the budget amendment.
Have a motion by Mike, second.
Second.
Second by Stacy. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right, let's discuss some possible action on the reimbursement resolution.
This is, as Doug said earlier, this is just like we did on the roof a couple of years ago, in hoping that we can, if the bond does pass, we can recoup our cost for the repairs to the track and the repair to the roof. I went ahead and set it at $1 million, even though we don't anticipate it, the roof repairs, being $250 and the track being $570. Just to give us a little fudge room in case something in the roof, like they come back and they say, okay, there's another deductible here you have to pay or something. But that way we could put it all into the bond and be reimbursed as part of the bond process.
Questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the reimbursement resolution as presented.
A motion by Doug, do I have a second? Second by Mike. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. Okay, discuss possible action on Ella's construction track repair proposal.
So this is a little confusing. Like I contacted them when they sent it to me and said, hey, you don't have the asphalt work in here. And so then they pointed out that they actually did have the asphalt work in here. So what we're asking to approve is the proposal 1, or proposal A, the $247,100 for the that's just for the track surface. And then down on the last page, you can see owner allowances. Owner allowance for asphalt repair if needed, $275,000. That's their contingency. That's how much they say it'll cost. If they have to replace the asphalt, they really do, like I said, expect that they do have to replace the asphalt. But until they actually rip the surface off, they can't know 100%. But they're fairly certain that it's going to be there. Any questions on it?
Is the painting in with it?
So all the stripes and everything are in with it. Those little blue passing lanes is not. That's the proposal B, which has a different surface that's a little more expensive. But all of the stripes, he said that when they're done, when they roll out, everything that is required for a track is in place. The striping, because like somewhere in here it says something about we won't put distance marks or ticks or something like that, and I'm like, wait, no, we got to have those to be able to do the track. And he's like, no, what they meant is on the long jump pit, sometimes people make them go in and he goes, and so we're not going to do that. He said, but the actual track itself will have everything painted on it that is necessary for the track to meet the standards.
So when we do that on the track, if they go back in and redo everything, are they going to redo the long jump, triple jump, and
Anything that currently has the track surface on it, which if you look on their thing, there's the pole vault area, there's the 2 jumps, and then all the track in that.
okay? If we do that, then when we repair the field, will those be in the contract to be replaced?
I mean, I'm not,
Because they'll have to go in and demolish them.
I would assume so, that, I mean, we'll have to just make that part of it, yes.
So we would have to pay for it again.
I would not think so. I would think that they, I mean, and that's something that we'll just have to ask them. I just don't, it never occurred to me to ask that question.
Right. Well, I'm just
So-
thinking if we fix them now
Right.
and they bring, 50 yards of dirt down here and cover them up and then repack them, they're gonna be underneath the surface of the football field. So
Unless they're at the same level as the track right now, are they? No, they're not.
they're below.
Yeah. So, I mean,
The
that's,
high
some-
jump pit is higher.
that's something I'll have to ask them and,
Okay.
and say, hey, if you're gonna do that, then
Can we come back and do it when we redo the football field?
yes. I mean, I just not something I thought about asking.
Okay. Just wanted to
Yeah,
throw it out
I'm
there.
just, that's what, I'm just afraid we're gonna spend money and then fix it, and that money's gonna go, where our
It's-
security money went, that the state said it wasn't good enough. I mean, I don't wanna have to spend money and spend money over the same things. So,
Didn't actually spend any money yet twice on the security stuff.
not the doors, not the locks, not all that stuff.
Anyway, it's the same company we're having request this, so we'll.
So they're the ones that would do the field as well?
They would be the ones we would request to review this time.
Okay. So they may say we don't need to do it because if we do the field, then we're gonna really, it won't be existing.
There will be a negotiation. We won't actually start on the track until, we wouldn't be until after, we're not gonna try to fit it in between football season and track season. We would wait until after track season is over. So hopefully by then, we actually will know whether or not we've had the bond and we can,
Go back to my point, that about $500,000 doesn't need to be in the budget. Just saying. We're not gonna do it till next year anyway. I thought the whole point was we had to do it now.
because it would have be a year later, because we have to schedule it now.
So what are we gonna do this year?
So do we,
I mean, this year we're gonna,
Well, either way, if the bond doesn't pass, the track gets repaired. If the bond does pass, we get reimbursed and we can do the track, we can do the field before we do the track. So either way, it's getting.
I wouldn't say, I'm not sure we can do the field before we do the track, we can plan it. Because we still are gonna have to schedule, I mean, we can't pass the bond the first week in May and have them start work on the field.
Yeah.
I may have misheard that wrong, what you're saying there, but yeah, it's all about the timing. Is the whole reason why we wanted to do it this year.
so in other words, if we didn't do it until with the bond, then it'd be another year out before they could come in and do it. So we'd be 2 years out instead of a year out.
Correct.
It's essentially, okay.
Essentially.
Okay. Any other questions on it? Anybody have anything else? Nope. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the construction on the track repair?
I move to approve Hill's construction track repair proposal as presented.
Motion by Doug. Do I have a second? Second by Mike. All in favor? We have 4 in favor. We have 1 opposed. 1 opposed. Motion carries. Okay. Discuss possible actions on donations.
All right, what this is, this first one is our English 1, is it the honors class?
Yes, I believe so.
had mentioned that they wanted to go this play in Oklahoma City. Do you remember which one it was?
Yes, To Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird. And so it's supposed to be like a Broadway production type deal. They read the book, this and that. Well, when Horace Mann got word of it, that they were wanting to do that, he called his boss. His boss agreed to donate $1,000 towards the ticket prices and everything. And honestly, it probably ought to cover the whole trip,
I think
or
so.
pretty close to it.
I think so.
And so it is in Oklahoma City. The other, not really downfall, but the other situation is it would be on a Sunday, so they would leave Sunday morning, drive to Oklahoma City, watch the play, and drive back that evening. And I think the play is mid-afternoon.
I'm not sure the time.
I can't remember, there were different times on Saturday and Sunday. The reason they can't go on Saturday is that's the weekend of marching contest, and so they don't want to leave kids out. I mean, they can go Sunday or Saturday, but the kids that are in band won't get to go, and she didn't really want to do that. And so that's why they would like to go on Sunday. So I guess I've got two parts to this. I want to make sure y'all are good with them going on Sunday. And then, then we have the donation that pretty well covers the trip anyway. So what do y'all think on that?
Aren't you good with it? I'm good with
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
it. Or Sunday.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what that is.
Okay. Do I have a motion for the Horseman?
I move to approve the $1,000 donation from Horace Mann.
Got a motion by Mike, do I have a second?
Second.
Is that you, Rusty?
Yes.
Second by Rusty. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right.
The next is, we got a donation of $10,000 from Phillips 66 for STEM. They've done this the last few years. It wasn't quite 10. They gave us, I believe it was 7,500 the last couple of years. They did bump it. We've used this to start our digital library, and we plan on using this to continue upgrading the digital library, because so far it's been great. Mrs. Searles did a bunch of research, found it, and the one we're using is really nice, and so the teachers and the kids are really liking it so far.
How much further you got to go to be done with that?
Well, I mean, I don't remember how many books we got, but I mean, it's just,
They keep adding books.
yeah, they just keep
so-
adding books, so I mean,
The nice thing about it is too, like, we're gonna start using it, like, teachers can rent classroom sets of books, whereas like when kids are gone, they can read on their phone or their Chromebooks where they don't always have to have that hard copy. And so, I mean, it can just keep growing, as books are published. And we are able to add a lot of Spanish books. We've had a lot of ESL students come in the district, so we've had Spanish-speaking books in there, and audiobooks for kids who would prefer to hear it, or if may have like, learning disabilities where they need the audiobooks versus actually reading online. So it could grow infinitely, but books are fairly expensive that way. Like one copy of a book is about $75 to $80 a copy for us to outright own it.
Any other questions? Okay. We have a motion.
I move to approve the $10,000 donation from Phillips 66.
A motion by Rusty, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Stacy. All in favor? All in favor, none opposed, motion carries. All right. Let's start with Mrs. McCowan on our campus reports.
All right. Well, we are off to a great start at the elementary. This year during our campus meeting, when the teachers came back, we talked about our motto for this year, which is to be greater than before. And the second page of that report shows you a target that the teachers got together with their teams, and they talked about the CC means what they need from their campus and their community so that they can really focus on an area of growth. And then they met with their teams and they talked about what they need to do collectively to grow. And then they made their own personal areas of growth on that chart. So you'll see the top one is 4th and 5th, inclusion, and their main growth focus this year is going to be building positive relationships with kids. Then the 1st grade is closing the gaps. Kinder is purposeful planning, being very intentional with our planning. And then fourth grade is to be greater than before. So we really did some reflection on the past year and what we need to do to improve, and so that is our motto going into this year. Our attendance rate is sitting at 97.18. We've got about 314 students right now. I have another call from Canyon, a family moving in, I believe, next week, so that'll grow a little more. On the next page, some happenings. We had a great Meet the Teacher night, great turnout. We had to say goodbye to Miss Danny Friday, and that was hard. We're hoping our new nurse can begin this week. And then we had back to school pictures with PTO. Our NWA testing window, the beginning of the year testing window, opened today. And so our teachers are getting our kids on NWA and getting their beginning of the year testing completed. We had an interesting meeting. I know that our contact, Penny Morrison from Phillips, had reached out to Mr. Garrison about BizTown, which is in Amarillo, and it's teaching kids about what a healthy free enterprise economy should be. And it was really interesting visiting with him and visiting with Dana Watson, who is the director, about the possibility of our kids, our fifth graders, being able to participate in that. It would require one of our teachers, a fifth grade teacher, to complete about 13 lessons. And then the kids are actually assigned jobs within this town in Amarillo that is a live town with a debit card. They work, they earn money, they're writing checks. So we're going to look into that a little more and visit with Mr. Garrison about that. Miss Carr and I met with them today, and they've invited us to go over and tour the facility so we can get a better look at that and see what it's about. So that was exciting. I don't know that my kiddos would even know how to write a check, and they're 23 and 21 because it's all debit card now. So that was interesting. Then we've got fall pictures coming up and progress reports. Our fundraiser kicks off at the end of September, and then report cards at the very end of September. On the next page, we had a fun beginning. You'll see Miss Fancy up there in the middle, and she went to read to a first grade class. And then in the bottom left, they were conducting experiments in first grade. And I know that last week they also made the elephant toothpaste that just explodes and grows and gets bigger. So lots of hands-on learning. That's first grade. Miss Adams was really gracious, and she brought over the snow cone truck and bought snow cones for our staff. And then there's one of our sweet little pre-Kers having lunch. We have lots of new staff members. We have two in the cafeteria that I did not get pictures of, Alicia Drake and Megan Chapin. We have a great new custodian in our 4th through 5th grade hallway. We're super glad to have her. We've added Jana Lance in the life skills, Stephanie Timmons in kinder. Sandy Bryan is returning. We're really glad about that in 5th grade. Lisa Roses, a great addition to 3rd grade. Miss Rice has moved into the library, and Miss Lozier is up in the front as an attendance secretary, along with Tanil Graham, who is the team's secretary. And then Risa Batchelor is one of our paras. So we've had quite a bit of change, but we're really excited about the changes that we have made. I went by first grade today and spent some time in there, and I really think that they rotate better than our 5th graders do. It is seamless, and they have very few things to rotate with. We created their schedule so they have 90-minute blocks. Worked on 3rd grade's schedule a little bit to increase their block time, which is about 90 minutes now too. It was 75, so excited about the changes that we have and the people we have in place.
Yep. All right, thank you. All right, Mrs. Carr is volleyballing it, so let's skip and go to the high school and Mr. Drew.
Yes, sir. I believe we've gotten off to a really good start. Had a lot of support from the people I'm working with and from above me also. So I'm really fortunate. On the second page is our enrollment. We enrolled 75 freshmen this year. 58 sophomores, 54 juniors, and 48 seniors for a total of 235, which is up 26 from what I saw at the end of last year on December. On the next page, dual credit. Ms. Lyles is very excited about this, as am I, but she's the one that got to see it first and informed the rest of us. We have 67 students enrolled in dual credit this year, taking over 140 dual credit classes combined, with over 500 hours of college credit earned this semester, as long as it's all completed. On the next page is also dual credit. This is another thing she was excited about, and as am I. The previous cost of dual credit courses was $97 a credit hour. This year, it's $55 a credit hour, so it's slashed almost in half. That's for all students inside or outside the taxing district. Next page also has to do with dual credit. In a program called FAST, which is Financial Aid Swift Transfer, there's free dual credit for students who qualify, so some of our students may even get it for free. Next is our upcoming events. You can see there's, I didn't even list all of them. I stopped after a couple of pages because I didn't want to so overwhelmed with all the sports and everything coming up. But we do have volleyball, JV football, cross country, varsity football, all coming up. And then culminating with what I had here on the 11th, is picture day and senior picks. Any questions? Thank you.
I'm just curious, how many were in 8th grade last year? Anybody got
60-some, it's Weston's class.
Yeah, I wanna say it was like 66. or
Yeah, it
something.
was 66, they're up about 10.
They keep growing because when they moved up from elementary campus to 6th grade, they were in the high 40s to 50s, and that grade just keeps growing like crazy.
Coach Timmons had 2.
Do what?
Coach Timmons has twins in there that he brought with us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That helps pay for his salary. And a girl. 8th grade.
Anybody else? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's slide on over to Mr. Wiggins, or Coach Wiggins.
Yes, sir. I've been taught worse, so I appreciate that. But no, we fell short Friday night. I think our kids played hard. Our defense played the whole game. I was looking at time possession. The defense is out on the field the whole time. Eventually they're going to get wore down, and that's what I saw. Early in the game we stayed with them, but it's because our defense kept them in. Offensively, I knew it was going to be a while before our offense started clicking, just because we're throwing and catching, and that takes time to get them to where they can throw and catch, especially having done it. And so I think we've got the personnel to do that. I don't think we have the personnel to line up and just mash people. So on the football stance, I think we're doing the right thing offensively. It's just it's a lot of timing and a lot of moving parts. And so we're still all in. And I mean, I really do think it's the right thing to do with the kids we have. Volleyball, I'm extremely proud of. They won the TUI tournament. I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook. And this morning when they showed up to morning weights, those girls, it was amazing. Just to see their face, because 6:30 in the morning for girls is not popular. But whenever you come in 6:30 in the morning on Monday after you win a volleyball tournament, it sure makes it all worth it. And so I was tickled with those girls just because, I mean, their demeanor just elated, just because hard work pays off. So I was tickled with those girls. Sheena's been working really hard with cross country. If you've seen the lights on in the morning and stuff, she's been out here just wearing those kids out, and I'm proud of those kids for working hard. But they go this Thursday, the boys do, varsity to River Road, and they actually run this Thursday. It's an early meet, but they're getting work in quick, and we've got a really good team this year. We've got a lot of depth, and she's done a great job there. Just a few highlights from what's went on. One thing I didn't put in my report, there's a lot of football players during two-a-days that went down to help with Helping Hands. Is it right? And they helped assort backpacks and unload and load backpacks down there for those kids whenever they deliver those backpacks. And the muscles are much appreciated, but it's good for those football boys to do that. But also tied into that, the cheerleaders and football boys on Friday mornings on home games, and you've probably seen pictures floating around on that, but they go down and hand out invitations. But to be honest with you, those little kids, they love it because they get to look up to those kids, but in all honesty, it helps the older ones out more than it helps the little ones, because no matter what they think, there's somebody watching them out there on the field, there's somebody watching them off the field, and so there's some inherent accountability with some of these kids, because they get to look at these little ones
and hug their neck on Friday morning, and if they've made some bad decisions, whether they want to be or not, their role model's good or bad. So it's a good accountability system for both sides, but I think it helps the high school boys more than anything. Volleyball numbers are good. We still got an A and B team in both 7th and 8th. Right now, we have, at one time, we had 40 high school playing football. I think that is fixing to go down to 39 playing high school football, but we do have several that are already injured. Hopefully, we'll get them back soon. Football numbers in junior high. If you notice, we've got 28th graders, which is a good number, but we've only got 11 7th graders because that's a really small class. And, but I was tickled that 11 came out. There's going to be a couple that are going to move down. And they're excited. We've already talked to them this morning, and they're excited because now that gives them way more playing time than they would have otherwise. And so we're still going to suffice 2 teams as long as possible for that junior high, and definitely until injuries and grades get to the point where we can. Another thing I'd like to point out is on our schedule, if you notice, and you might get questioned about this, Shamrock, the game with Shamrock is a Thursday varsity game at Shamrock, and that is out of our control. It's 100% on Shamrock, they're hosting it. But they could not get officials for Friday night. I cannot tell you why, I can't ask, I don't understand why. But, so they had to move the game to Thursday. Well, by moving it to Thursday, now we gotta figure out when we're gonna play our sub-varsity games. Well, if they didn't have officials for Friday night varsity game, they're definitely not gonna have them for sub-varsity Friday. So we had to move the sub-varsity game to Tuesday. And so, otherwise don't play it. And so that's where we're at on that week. And I just want you to understand that really is, our hands are tied a little bit on that just because of shortage of officials. But we are going to Shamrock on a Thursday and playing a varsity football game. And they're coming here on Tuesday to play those sub-varsity games on that same week. But other than that, I'm tickled with our kids and how they're working. The attitude is better. The attitude is so much better. They realize that the only way that they're going to be successful is to put it all out there. And so the work ethic's there. It's getting there. It's fun to come to work whenever you got a group of kids that really want to work, and that makes it fun. They're young. We've got 4 seniors healthy playing football right now, 5 with William, if he'll ever get healthy. His dad must be a jerk, but if we can get healthy, I think that we'll be in good shape. But we're just young. We're just real young, and we'll get them. Any questions whatsoever? Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, let's go to district reports, and this is Charles.
All right, I don't really have a lot that I'm going to say. I did throw in that the state has changed our accountability system for this year, and they're trying to sell it as a good thing, and it's not a good thing. It's horrible. Our ratings are going to go down, and I don't know what they're going to go down to. We're kind of nervous to see that, but they're saying it's because of the new test and it needs to be reset, and they're saying across the state that schools that were B's are going to go to D's, and we're just nervous about what it looks like. And it's not fair to our kids because we know we put a lot of work and effort in, and we should be able to show that. And so just kind of setting you up. Ratings and things are coming out in September. I think the 26th is when things are going to start coming out, so we'll report those whenever we get them. But I did want you to have just, a heads up. That blue box in the middle is kind of a summary of what they've changed, and that's what TEA is selling right now. So I'm not happy with it.
Well, and there's several school districts, I read today, there's several school districts across the state actually suing TEA over it.
They need to learn the second word and what they're preaching there.
It's very frustrating. When we get excited and we see the things we know what we're doing district-wide, we know our kids are putting effort, our teachers are putting effort in, and then all of a sudden change it and don't give us a chance to ever show that. So it's very disheartening to say the least. I listed just things that I've really just been in a support role here lately, trying to get everybody help that they need for starting the school year. As Ms. McCowan said, we started NWEA testing. High school and junior have never done that before, so I was at high school all day today helping. We did Algebra 2 and Geometry NWEA testing today. I'll be at high school doing English 1 tomorrow, just getting those teachers to learn how to use that new system. I think they're going to really see the benefit from the testing. Elementary teachers have really always enjoyed it, but this is the first step in the teacher incentive allotment, and so these are the pre-tests that we'll be using to get that data for us to submit you know, once we get pre-test, post-test, once we get through this full year of data collection, we'll submit what we get, and hopefully get some teachers earning some designations as well. But had several meetings about that. Some of the teachers are really pumped about it. You know, they're seeing this as a year to help really build some good, strong teaching in all across the district, which I think is just going to help with the new accountability system as well. And so if we're doing anything right now, it's the time to start it, you know. And they've already put the work in. They've been doing it for years. Maybe they can get some of the money, but we have started the testing to get those first sets of data we need to help earn those designations.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Hind.
Okay, I just have a couple of quick things for you. On the bond, we're scheduled to meet with the architect on January 6th to go over the price list. Last meeting, you guys requested me to do a cost analysis. I've attached that. Then on to transportation. I was asked to do a transportation report. We've had a challenging start in one regards. In another regards, it started really well, but we did have a challenging start in that one of our bus drivers passed away right at the start of the year. She had a year of challenges, we'll say, and she was very dedicated. She would go drive the bus, go do a treatment, and come back and drive the bus. So she will definitely be missed. On our transportation, we have actually had a really smooth start this year. Our new transportation director, Mr. Wakefield, and our interim from last year, Mr. Rice, completely reworked all the routes. Y'all have been requesting that for several years now, and we finally got that in place. We were able to use our Traversa system to map out the routes. I've included a sample map attached to my report. We were able to use that in our Meet the Teacher Night and put it on the website. And we really had a smooth start, one of the smoothest starts I've seen in a long time. We've also been able to use the transportation software. I included a couple screens there to track the buses. Like, for example, on the second picture there, where you can see where the bus is going with all the little green arrows. We had one parent saying, hey, they're not stopping at my house at this time. And we actually could look and say, yeah, they're stopping there at exactly that time. So it's been very helpful for us. It's good to actually have a transportation director that actually is utilizing the tools we're giving them. So we haven't started using the kids scanning on and off yet, but that's the initial year start of Flux. We have to wait for that to die down so we know exactly who is riding the buses. We hope to start that in the next few weeks. And that's all I have.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. It will be a challenge, I guarantee.
Might avoid the headaches back on 7th first.
Could be a nightmare. All right, Mr. Garrison.
All right, in my report, as you can see, you know, our enrollment's up, which is a good thing, and ADA's sitting good right now, and then total attendance, you know, over 97%. So we did go, myself and the admin team, went and met with Judge Wysong last week, and went over, you know, how to file on kids and truancy and that type of deal, if we need to do that. You know, her hands are tied in a lot. If, you know, you file on a kid, there's honestly, like she said, not a whole lot they can do. I mean, lunch detentions and stuff like that. But you can file on the parent, and that's also, and so that's where you can get some things done. And so, you know, if we need to do that, then we'll do what we need to get our attendance up. We're hoping that we don't have to do that. But. And then on Wednesday, I'll be out of the office. I'm going over to Region 16. They have a representative from the Texas Safety Center that'll be present to help us with our emergency operations plan. We've got to update last year's, and then they have several annexes that are due this year. And so she said the goal is to, when we leave that day, where it's pretty well complete. And so I'll be there Wednesday doing that. But lots of activities going on. And one thing I did want to mention, you know, the Meet the Teacher Night. You know, I got out on all 3 campuses, and I've never seen that many parents at a Meet the Teacher Night since I've been here in 24 years. I mean, especially at the high school. You know, normally at the end of the night, we'd still have a stack of schedules, but I mean, they had an itty bitty stack, and I mean, we had a lot of parents and kids there, so it was a tremendous turnout on all the campuses. So I was proud of that and everybody coming out and being involved in that. And so it's been a good start to the year, and we're just want to keep rolling with it. So that's all I got.
Okay. All right, we'll set the next board meeting. So for September. So Tuesday or a Thursday better for y'all? Neither?
Not in this season.
Volleyball on Tuesday, football on Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
volleyball on Wednesday, football on Friday.
Six, 13, 20, 27. Just because football's nuts. If possible. I can do any of those.
Which is just two more, right?
Yeah.
Be two. So which is better for y'all, the 13th or the 20th?
Well, if you look at the 20th,
Mm-hmm.
that's homecoming week, and so I don't know when they're planning stuff that week.
Wednesday night,
Is it the Wednesday night?
we've already talked, yeah, we've got permission from Tyler to do that. But it'll have to be after church services, so,
Perfect.
but it's perfect anyway, because we have to wait till the bonfire get dark to light it anyway,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Pushing it back, so we're doing it like 8:30 that night.
Perfect.
But that's homecoming week.
So, well, you might want to look at the 13th then.
Okay, let's do it then. 6 o'clock. All right. All right, we're going to go into closed session.
I'm really proud of you, Doug, but I don't want to miss it.
They sent one for me too.
I can tell you exactly what she was saying.
All right, Mr. Hine, will you call us out of closed session at 7:17? And Mr. Garrison.
I recommend Brenda Langley for a 2023-2024 probationary contract for certified registered nurse, subject to salary and assignment.
We have a recommendation by Jason. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve Brenda Langley for a 2023-2024 probationary contract for certified registered nurse, subject to salary and assignment.
I have a motion by Doug. Do I have a second? Second by Russ.